Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and this is episode number 12. And of course, I welcome my amazing co-host Roger,
Hey guys, how you doing today?
and we welcome back this week Scott Roby.
What is up, guys? How you doing? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you for coming on. So let's dive right into it here. Roger, what you been playing lately, man?
So, anyone who watched my Twitch this weekend would have seen that I completed the first ending of Near Replicant this weekend. Got halfway past the halfway point of the new raid in WoW. Been playing some Valorant. Got placed for this season or for this act and Bronze 3, where I was actually Silver 3 last season. So I'm a little upset about that. Then also this week been playing the new Zombies map because it's actually really freaking good. I really like it.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of fun for sure. What about you, Scott? What you been playing?
Same old, same old. Still come home and decompress to some Warzone. Catching dubs here and there. Had a little curse for a little bit. Oh yeah, decompress, man. Correct. Yep. Had a curse there for a little bit where me and my buddy, every time we got on and it was our first game, we'd get a win, and then it would screw up the SBMM for the rest of the night. Other than that, I had a really good friend of mine talk me back into WoW Classic, Burning Crusade Classic. I was already on WoW Classic, but she talked me back into BC Classic, and not only that, she talked me into playing Alliance, which I have not done since I was about 15. Feels weird, but other than that, great. Doing a rerun of Skyrim. I'm just trying to mod it until my computer crashes. Trying to get it to look as nice as possible on my RX 580, which little bit of a struggle here. And then shortly here, me and a couple friends are going to re-download ESO and take that path again. Other than that, that's really it.
There you go, man.
How about you, Vic? What you been up to?
Played a little bit more Outriders here and there. Of course, I'm trying to beat that game, but it's just like, I don't know, I've just been really in tune with multiplayer games again. I've just been really wanting to play competitively. So, of course, I got a lot of Warzone. We've been playing a lot of Valorant. Even when it's just me, I'm playing just Valorant, trying to get better. But like you said, we've been playing a lot of the Zombies again recently because the new map came out, which is what we'll get into here in a little bit, which is a lot of fun. But other than that, it's just been those games specifically. I haven't been playing anything new yet. Did start a new game, Planet Alpha. It's a real small indie game. It looks really beautiful. It's just like a platformer, puzzler. Very simple game, but it's just really chill. It's a game that I'll throw on where I don't feel like going hardcore in a game, and I'm just trying to relax and play a game, Probably legitimately decompress,
Hey, we all have our own little personal vices here.
Yeah, for sure. But let's get into the reason why we're all here today for sure. We're going to start off with our gaming news. We're going to start off here with the Call of Duty Season 4. Scott, have you dove into Season 4 yet?
I have. It's been great. Some of the tweaks that they've been doing were really, really nice. Super big fan of the zip line that they were doing. And then looking back at the patch notes, like doing now their the biggest one for me, because probably the most annoying, was when you get your loadout, your stuff would drop in front of you. And so like if I got a single gun loadout with like Ghost or anything like that, and I had to pick up my other gun, I had to hunt around and like just kind of do this in the pile of guns trying to get mine. And there's been a couple times I've gotten wrecked with it. So dropping behind is super nice. I have not played Payload yet, which I really do look forward to. It's just every time I get on, everybody wants to do Rebirth or regular Verdansk. But definitely looking forward to that. Definitely gonna be interesting to see how they get their two 20-man teams, knowing the Call of Duty community, to get them to work together. It's just gonna be hilarious, and I can't wait to see that firsthand. And other than that, I think it's been great. They've added some new things on the map. The ground loot's pretty good this time around. The meta, I've never really been a meta guy as far as the guns go. I'm still using like my Growl, my Farah, which I call Farah Michelle Gellar, my Bullfrogs, just things that I'm comfortable with. But all in all, season 4's been a good one for sure. No massive complaints, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you guys?
Go ahead, Roger. What do you think on
I
that?
was gonna say, well, I believe we played a little bit of season 4. That's post satellites and stuff hitting the ground. I'm actually disappointed because I liked the satellite mechanic. Just to have that around, I feel as though the game got a little bit worse after they took it out because it feels like there's less content now. And everywhere I drop, it seems like everyone else and their mom shows up there as well. It could be 2,000 yards away, 2,000 yards away, and I'm still dropping with 7 other guys.
Yeah.
And so,
Right.
Felt
I
that
feel.
one.
No,
Go ahead.
it's definitely been crazy. I feel like they definitely missed out on that. Like, I feel like it was just a seasonal event. They're like, all right, cool, new season, new event. All right, cool, guys, now it's away. Like, it was like something different for Warzone. It changed up the
Yeah.
meta. Like, you could go to different areas, like, if you wanted to go get these satellites, because you could get some crazy-ass loot from them things.
You get that dumbass vehicle.
Right.
Oh man, the armored truck.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Like, the vehicles alone were already pissing me the fuck off. Now you added one with a gun. All right, cool. I'm so excited. Woo, no, not really, because them shits are annoying. But no, the meta definitely has changed, like you were talking about there. Apparently, there was a lot of buffs and nerfs to certain weapons and stuff like that, and they changed a lot of the multipliers for like headshots or body damage and stuff like that. So certain guns have got better, some guns have gotten worse. So apparently, this is the biggest change ever to Warzone when it came to adjusting the stats on guns. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because certain guns might not be reliable enough anymore compared to what they used to. But other than Warzone, I think Zombies was a lot of fun. Like we aforementioned here, the new map, Mauer der Toten, has been a lot of fun. It's a lot of verticality, new mechanics. The new perk Mule Kick is back. That's been a lot of fun. We actually did the Easter egg and completed the Easter egg today. That was intense. Intense. Roger, what's your take on the zombie map?
So the new zombie map, it's definitely a big change of pace from some of the other maps. It feels like where some of the other maps you kind of had a centralized point, you went out in different ways. This one, it feels like it was a nice big loop that you went through the map, down, back up, and came around, and then the whole map was unlocked, and then you had 2 ways to go back and forth, and then 2 ways underneath, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just love how there's tons of places that you can move, and the introduction of the zip lines in Zombies was really cool, and the fact that they weren't like as terrible as Warzone, where only one person can go up at a time. Like technically, like there was 3 of us going down the one at the one time. I was like, it was.
Well, they did fix that in Warzone now, so they did fix that. So that was one of the other big ones for me.
Yet, but yeah,
that was the worst. You'd have 3 people sitting at the bottom of the zipline waiting for the other dude, and they're just getting murked. They got to run, and it was perfect. I loved it. It was great. Not a bad thing at all. Not annoying. Not upsetting.
Didn't ruin the play at all.
It didn't ruin anything. Yeah, it was 100% perfect. They nailed it on the first try there.
Yeah, but yeah, Zombies though. Just to cap it off, like I love the variety of enemies in that game. Like you literally have like so many different types, from the heavy one, the armored one, the guy who flies around. What's his name again, Roger? Who takes the other zombies and changes them into explosive ones.
Yes, I can't remember his name either now.
But then you got the big robot dude that has a flamethrower and a grenade launcher, and then you got the ones that explode.
That sounds a little intense.
You've got all your normal zombies, that like all your special zombies that the Cold War has done so far, but then you also have an additional one now, the Empowerer, in a sense. He gives all the zombies like twice as much health, twice as much damage, and they move faster. So
that doesn't sound terrifying at all.
It doesn't sound unfair or just
awesome.
Yeah. So no, I definitely agree. This new season for Call of Duty has been quite enjoyable. I feel as though they're trying to do better at making things better, and I think that also brings us to our next topic here.
Threat.
So yeah, mods and hacks in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So one of the coolest things I thought recently is they've actually found an undetectable hack, like otherwise was previously undetectable and unstoppable. They've now banned a bunch of people and removed that hack. What are you guys thinking about that?
I think any anti-cheat is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It completely ruins
Yeah.
any sort of gameplay, any sort of. I mean, there was a time where you didn't even want to try.
Yeah.
And you would be able to load into pre-lobby, and you would
You could tell.
immediately see, and you're like, well, can't do this game, and then you back out of the game. You know, it would just happen so much, and I'm happy that they're finally, well, not finally, but actually doing something about the biggest problem
Yeah.
in the game. The biggest thing that's been happening is just the anti-cheat story, which has been, you know, just this long saga that they've just never fixed. They've never taken care of. They're like, oh, hey, we would, you know, us as players would be like, hey, we would really love it if you guys could take care of the hackers, the people that have, you know, the wall hacks, the auto head, like everything like that people have been just suffering from for so long. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's great. We would love to do that, but here's fucking John McClane. Shut up. Like,
Yeah.
which, don't get me wrong, I loved. I loved the fact that
Yeah.
Nakatomi Plaza is still in there. Huge diehard fan, but I would really like to not get, you know, picked out of Nakatomi Plaza by some dude, you know,
3 miles away
two-
with a
like
sniper rifle.
2,000 meters away, like with a goddamn M14 or some shit, you know. But it's nice to actually see them start taking like the how we all feel as players into account to try to get some of that taken care of, because I mean they got a bunch of, like, you know, they got some 5-meter threats coming up that they're gonna have to worry about. Battlefield, Halo Infinite, like everything like that, and they got to keep their player base. And if you don't take care of the hackers, you're not keeping your player base. It's not gonna happen as a player.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
What are your thoughts, Vic?
Yeah, the hacking, man, like you guys are saying, it got to the point, like I literally played one game the other night with Meek in the first game and we died to some hackers. I was like, yeah, bro, I'm not playing no more. I got off. Like, it was just as simple as that. It really fucked
It
up the
does.
entire
It ruins
mood.
the game.
It ruined the entire mood
Yeah.
of me wanting to play the game. I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Just watch YouTube videos for the rest of the night for like 3 hours because it really fucked up the whole mood. Like, I'm usually down to play that shit all night, but nope, couldn't do it. It just was not worth it to me. So I'm glad that they're making the steps taking the steps I need to do this. But hackers, it's crazy. Like, they're sprouting up everywhere. Every game has a hacker, a new hack of this, a new cheat this. Like, I don't even know why people do that. It makes the game way less fun. You don't
Well,
gotta
they've
try
made
anymore.
it so they've made hacking so accessible.
Yes.
Yeah, you got a box you can plug into the back of your Xbox that gives you. I mean, stupid stuff like that. It's like, I mean, I'm on PC. The things you could do on PC, it's just unreal. And I'm happy they're finally taking care of something, because I've had those nights just like you, Vic, and it's just not decompressing at all.
You're more amped up and more pissed off. But
And
Yeah.
yeah, you're just more pissed off, and
right.
then now what?
Yeah, but on to Call of Duty's main competitor, I think for a long time coming is Battlefield. Battlefield 2042, we all know, is coming out here in the next couple months. But they did confirm that crossplay is a thing. At this point, to me, it's not surprising, but this is exciting to see that they are implementing this. But I think it is apparently, like, I think it's only like next gen can play with next gen and like old gen play with old gen or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So, what are your thoughts on this, on their way of going about this?
So for me, if I was to find that there was no crossplay on Battlefield 2042, I'd actually be really surprised. But so it says, PS4 and Xbox One will be able to work with each other, and then PC plays with next gen consoles, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S will be able to play with each other as well. And you'll also have cross progression, which is also cool. So for me, this is a huge step in the right direction to say, yes, I understand you're on an old console, but at the same time, we want this game to be the best game possible. So
Right. Apparently, because they're leaving out like certain features. I think, well, actually, not features, or I guess you call it a features. The size of the player base on certain maps, like on old gen, they're
yeah,
limiting to like X amount, but then on next gen on PC, you'll be able to have more. So
Mhm.
if you want to play in those big matches, the 128 or whatever they're maxing out at, go get next gen or go get a PC. Otherwise, have fun on the on the little old consoles with little
Yeah, and
mods.
it's not like, we don't want to attack people on the old consoles, but at the same time, it's like we want to get to the point where the new games are being played to what they can be played. Look at, we were just talking about this in the pre-lobby before starting the stream, how we've got Cyberpunk that tried to do something, but then they fell short because they were like, well, we have to support these people who haven't moved forward yet.
And I think that's a really really good thing. Excuse me, that Battlefield is doing, because it's not an attack on
Yeah.
older gen. It's not an attack on older consoles, anything like that. But they've acknowledged the limitations of the hardware, and they've
Yeah.
acknowledged that, and they found a way to work around that. And it's maybe not work around would be the right way, but they
No, I
found a
can
way
use
to
that.
make that not as big of a problem.
They're not going to
Which
ruin the
it's like
experience for everyone.
exactly. So it's like, hey, if you want to still play this on my Netflix machine over here, my original Xbox One, if I want to play it on that, then I can. I just won't get everything that the game has to offer, just because of the hardware limitations. But if I got one, then hey, it's opened all these new doors for me, as far as playing the game. And I think as a PC player, I think that was a good call. Only putting PC players with the next gen, just because there's such an advantage sometimes to PC players with all the GPUs. They're just the raw power that some of these machines can put out,
Yeah.
compared to my however old Xbox One S that I use for Netflix and Hulu. Things like that. And I think that was a good call on their part to actually separate the two, not to ostracize the older gen console players. But there's people that, hey, they can't throw a couple $100 at a next gen console right now, and they've acknowledged that, and they still made the game playable for them, which I think is a really good call on their part. And I think it's really
Yeah.
nice.
It widens the player base without ruining the player base for any group. Yeah, sorry, but like it's your console can't support it, so we'll give you a good experience for you. But if your console can support it, we'll give you a better experience.
Right, so it looks
So.
like they took the proper PR approach to the situation.
Mhm.
They want to include everybody as much as possible, but also take care of those people who have the higher end rigs that are able
Yeah.
to take advantage of that rig
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah,
To have
absolutely.
that raw power. So it's awesome
Oh,
to see. But talking about another
moving on.
game, yeah, that's struggling with like next gen versus not next gen. FIFA
You know.
22. This one really intrigued me because like I just don't understand how like there's no next gen upgrades for PC, which blows my mind because PC has the most capabilities out of everything, but yet they're not going to get any next gen features. But then like to get the next gen upgrade, it only comes with the $100 edition this year. So it's
Well,
just
that's
like
EA just being EA.
yes, I mean to break it down, yes, that's EA
Yeah,
being
that's
EA.
EA being EA.
But it just blows
But
my mind that
yeah,
they're willing to do this. This is a bad PR move to
I
me. What
mean,
do you guys think?
it doesn't blow my mind so much. Um, Roger, are you on PC?
yes.
So, and Vic, are you on PC right now?
I'm on PC
As
right
as
now.
your main playing,
Most of my
as your main
gaming,
play.
I'll be on Xbox.
Yeah,
So
he's tied.
the thing is, like, when you have your consoles and you have your Xboxes, your PlayStation, everything like that, there is no doubt to a developer's mind of what hardware it's going to have and what it's going to be capable of.
Mhm.
I think some of the mindset with that is when you get to PC. I mean, you have 30 different brands of every single moving part in this thing, which sometimes I mean, generally they're all working the same way as they normally would, but sometimes having somebody with a 3090 versus somebody with a 580 or somebody with a 6900 XT versus somebody with a 2060, there's a lot of things to take into account there. And I think what they did is they kind of put the work in there but make you pay for it.
Yeah. So in my opinion, it's like we're gonna give you our crappy version of the game, but for $40, we'll add the enhanced visual DLC. That's
And
what it felt like to me. It
these are
feels
also
like
the
a
same.
DLC.
These are also the same assholes that made us pay $30 extra for Han Solo's blaster in Battlefront. So, honestly, it sounds exactly like them. Hey, you want the cool shit? You're gonna pay for it. It
Yeah.
sounds exactly like them. That's a
Oh, yeah.
pure 100% EA move. They
I
could
mean-
do it, but you're gonna pay a little bit.
Yeah, what's crazy to me though is like EA was doing so well with things like Star Wars Squadrons, but now they're, I guess the EA Sports division being a little different here. They don't do things intelligently. They do things very scummy.
It's the loot box conundrum.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. They found out how to make people pay for
Things they already own.
useless stuff or things that they already own that they should already have.
Mhm.
But people pay. When
Yeah.
people stop paying, that's when
Then they'll make
Yeah.
a change.
that's when
Well,
they'll learn.
And it's the same thing with the scalpers market right now. The market is there, so they're going to continue to do it. And I think it's bad PR, but at the same time,
It
these people
pays.
who are going to play this game, they're still going to make tons of money off them.
It pays. Thankfully, I'm not a sports game kind of guy.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Hey, did you get the new the new NBA 2K?" No, I didn't.
No.
Did you get MLB 2K? No, I didn't. Did you get Madden? No, I didn't. Like, I absolutely did not. Like, 100%.
I'm over here in Fantasyland. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but as a sports player myself, like I don't really play FIFA, so like to me it may not impact me because I buy FIFA like once every 5 years, so it's just
Yeah.
like, am I upset? No, but to see this in the market though, like EA has to learn its lesson eventually.
Yeah.
Like, you would have thought they would have
Well-
learned a big lesson with Battlefront 2. Like that shit went to court and like all over the world and caused a huge issue. But they're like, all right, we'll fix this. But how about this, guys? We're gonna go take your money over here. So it's just like,
Exactly.
did you learn
Yeah,
your
they're like,
lesson?
"Hey,
No.
well, yeah." No, they're not gonna.
There's no repercussions.
EA's been around for so long. They've been doing so many things. I mean, I remember playing like a NASCAR game or like the Monster Truck Rally game on my N64, and the first thing you heard was EA Sports. Like, they've been around for so long.
It's in the
They're
game.
It is. It's 100% in the game, and the game they play is take your money,
Yeah.
and
and I
people
think-
continually lose that.
Yeah, and I think the issue at hand is, with the advent of like Overwatch being one of the original loot box games, EA was like, "Wait, we can do that?
How can we monetize that?
Wait, they're selling loot boxes? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then this company over here is selling skins? What if we do that but for the entire game's visuals?"
It wouldn't have been a problem if there wasn't an issue with their actual coding of the loot boxes, because they,
Yeah.
they made such a small percentage chance to get what you thought you might get.
Oh,
And
well,
so
that's
it was the online gambling. It was like, oh, how can we
how do we
do
make
this?
tons of cash?
Something that Sony's about to do with Evo, the online gambling is going to be great. So
We're actually going to touch on it a little bit anyway. But moving on here to our next game. This one actually excites me here is Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl game that was announced. That game looks awesome. Obviously, it's like a clone of Smash Brothers, but with like every character that you can think of in the Nickelodeon universe, I guess, per se now. What's your thinks on this, Scott? Because you're already cracking up over it.
So I did not know about this game until you sent me the itinerary, because it was like released like just a couple days ago, right? And I've been I've been out of a lot of news, and this made me so happy. This was hilarious. I cannot wait to beat the brakes off of somebody as Nigel Thornberry. I cannot wait, and I'm hoping. And yeah, you said it's a direct clone. That is straight up a 100% reskin of Super Smash Brothers. So I'm hoping they keep kind of the same character profiles, because I would love to basically pull the Samus Charge move, but as Tommy Pickles with his bottle. Which is gonna be amazing. I looked at the trailer, I looked at everything, and I 100% will buy this based off of nostalgia alone, because I'm definitely gonna play this game. It's definitely gonna be great, and I can't wait to just get online and just beat somebody up as like Donnie from Wild Thornberries, or like Tommy Pickles just kicking the bullshit out of Reptar, like something like that. It looks great. It hits all the feels. It hits all the right places. It just the way to hit them. because I mean we're all around the same age here. We're all the '90s babies, everything like that. We grew up with this stuff. Obelina from Real Monsters. I hope they got Ickis in there. It's gonna be great.
They have
I
so
think
many
it's gonna
characters
be
to
a
choose
really,
from.
and they got powdered toast man. They got SpongeBob. They got Sandy with her karate. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, and I think this is
No,
gonna.
I definitely agree.
This is gonna. I think that, and obviously this is like preachy pedestal sort of thing, but I think that this game will actually bring a lot of people together. Because it's got the older cartoons, it's got everything that people like us grew up on, and then it's got the newer cartoons and everything like that that the younger generations have grown up on. I think this is 100% gonna be a great family game. That if you have a family game night and stuff like that, it's not gonna be like Sorry anymore or like board games. It's gonna be Nintendo's. It's gonna be Nintendo's Smash, and I think it's great. I'm excited for it.
It looks very interesting to me, but me being a Smash guy, I play Smash a lot. I don't know. I feel as though it could fall short in the competitive aspect for me, where it's just kind of because I've never heard of Game Mill, the company that made this. So I'm interested to see what happens, but I'm not gonna get it day one definitely. And it doesn't come out until fall of 2021 actually. So it doesn't come out until the fall of this year. And it looks interesting though. I'm definitely interested because it's definitely nostalgia. It has tons of nostalgia factor to it.
It's the same reason people bought World of Warcraft Classic. They sold that game back to us like 10 years later, 20 years later. Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, so yeah, this game looks like a lot of fun, and like they can make a lot of money off of this. They can add new characters. They can have DLC. Like this could be a service game where they just keep support with it as much as they want. Add new levels. Like Nickelodeon has a lot of content to pull from, both old and new, and like even if they get into like the Nick at Night stuff too. Like you imagine bringing in like Keenan and Kel or something that. Like you could have some goofy ass characters.
But once again, the only character we're not going to get is Waluigi.
You never know. This might be his turn.
Or for all we know, he's going to be a day one drop, and he's just going to be in the standard lineup. Maybe that's what they were waiting for.
Yeah, they've been holding out because they wanted to put him in this.
Yeah, they knew this was coming. They knew this was going to be the next hottest thing, and so they're like, nah. Yeah, Waluigi's going in that.
So to sum it up, I think we're all on agreement that this game has some excitement behind it just due to the nostalgia. But it'll be interesting to see that Smash Brothers actually has like a legitimate 1-to-1 competition now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't maybe I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, as far as legitimate 1-to-1 competition, because Smash is still Smash and Smash is king. But this is going to be great. I think the initial sales on this are going to shock a lot of people.
Yeah,
as word gets out. But yes, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good one, like for the whole family. You got Donatello versus like Reptar versus Patrick versus Powdered Toast Man. Like it's gonna be absolutely crazy. And I
definitely think it's gonna be a silly, fun game.
Yeah.
I'm just I don't think it's I don't know. I don't think it's gonna ever get to the point where it is like with Smash, where it's a legitimate competitive game. I think it's gonna be a casual.
I don't think that's what
I don't think so either, and I'm not sure that I could 100% accept a world or like a gaming world where Nickelodeon Smash is a super big competitive thing.
Yes.
And you run into somebody like, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, I play games for a living. Oh, awesome, esports. Like what game? Yeah, Nickelodeon All Star Smash. Oh, okay. I mean Patrick. Sorry, I'm a Patrick main. Like,
yeah,
I couldn't imagine that. But as far as good fun goes, this game's gonna be just top, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I definitely agree. But moving on here to something a little more, a little different here, talking about competitive like rivalries. Final Fantasy XIV, one of the most popular games right now for MMOs. Does this surprise you guys at all?
Is it even out?
Final Fantasy. It's been out for a long time.
It surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
it surprised me initially.
Mhm.
Looking back at the existence of this game,
Yeah.
and how it initially did. So they had the same guy as Dragon Age
Yes.
as the director, um, and which was I guess the first iteration was just terrible. But this is also the same guy that kept Dragon Age alive.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's give credit where credit's due. I think they did really well with the marketing, and they took advantage of a lot of situations that they were put in. And I've seen reviews for their DLC. I've seen reviews for there's Revan over there. I've seen reviews for like their expansions, which have been just outstanding. But above all that, so when you look back at it, it didn't really get as popular until Big Rona hit. Everyone had to stay inside.
It was
And
it was definitely an underdog.
yeah, and then what they when I was reading into it to try to see, because it made me curious, and I was looking at they expanded their trial time, they expanded their trial caps, because they originally had kind of everything locked just for bots and things like that,
Hmm.
but they expanded the trial, they expanded the caps for it, and what they did, which I think really was their biggest one, is they put out some damn good content.
Yeah, and I think
And with all those things combined, and especially and a lot of people were calling it like a WoW killer. And
Yeah.
I'll let you know how I feel after I'm done playing Burning Crusade Classic. Uh, but it's a lot of people that were left wanting from WoW. They called them the WoW refugees. That came over because they wanted something new, something nice, and they delivered it on their it was like their 5.1 or 5.3 patch,
Yeah.
and they delivered a lot. I think everything kind of coming together. People wanting a new game, people stuck at home, having nothing better to do, them putting out good content, and then putting out like trials that allowed them to experience that content is really what sold a lot of the players, and I think
I
that's really why they took off like that.
I think you're also missing another big point here. I agree with both your like your major points here, but the other issue I think you're not taking into account is so we always say WoW is the king of MMOs. Well, the issue at hand right now, do you play WoW retail?
WoW jacked up their 9.1 patch,
Yes.
and it left a lot of people wanting, and it
I'm in
gave
I'm in
a crap.
9.1.
Okay, so so apparently it gives a run of the mill
Yeah.
BS twist to a character that people wanted to see more from, and I gave up retail WoW a long time ago because
Yeah.
the grind is boring. The grind was terrible, and when you get new things like that, you want the new
You want to
experience,
do content.
and
Yeah.
they failed on this. They failed on that portion, which upsetting because I love WoW. I love WoW.
Yeah. And
Love it. But if you
and
fail on something like that, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I think the big issue here is WoW doesn't listen to their player base. WoW has been doing a run of the
Activision.
mill cookie. Yeah, they're Activision. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They're doing cookie cutter development at this point, and I think that's the thing. Final Fantasy 14. Do you guys know the full story about behind Final Fantasy 14?
You mean its
So
development, or you mean like the
yeah,
actual story
yeah,
base?
like it's development. It actually this is the second. This is Final Fantasy 14, technically the second game. The first one released, it actually was garbage. It was one of the worst MMOs, and a bunch of people played it, and then they were like, "Wow, it's not doing well." And players are like, here's issues, this is what we think, your story's bad here, this is a problem. So what they do, they host an event in Final Fantasy 14. An end of the world apocalypse happened, and all the players get to fight in this once in a
Yeah,
lifetime apocalyptic scenario that happened, and they obliterated the world and rebuilt the entire game
it
from
was
scratch.
Baphomet, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Baphomet
ended
came in
everything.
and just
They nuked
destroyed
it
the world.
all, and they said, "Cool, we're rebuilding it." And that's when the one expansion with Reborn or
Yeah,
Reborn came out. Yeah,
Reborn is Final Fantasy Reborn. That is the first iteration of the second version of the game.
Maybe
That is
they
the
should have
first
done that with
part.
Avengers.
And that's, yeah, a lot of these games could learn from their player base. The problem is at hand is they're holding on to a nostalgia factor, whereas all these other games like Final Fantasy 14 doesn't have a nostalgia factor right now. It's only been around, what, maybe 8 years?
Yeah.
So it's not even half the age of WoW at this point, and they are struggling. They were struggling till recently to kind of, how do we get players in? Well, we have to listen to players. We got to give them what they want. Like the other thing, WoW is all about your alts, all about doing small iterate. Like you have to have multiple characters to do anything. Oh, I need to tank today, so I need to hop off my warlock who can't tank because I'm only a DPS. Only a DPS. Oh, but
Yeah.
then in Final Fantasy 14, you get one character. You only need one character, and it can play every class, every role. You build roles based off of other roles, just like you do in normal Final Fantasy games.
Yep.
Like classic Final Fantasy games are like, you have to build a white mage, black mage, then you can be a red mage.
Well, and I think the issue with WoW per se, not really an issue, is coming from the original the original Warcrafts, and then like, trying to go that into an MMO. When your initial game didn't have that, the Trinity really didn't have stuff like that, but Final Fantasy had. They were able to enhance how the game is already played.
Yes.
Which I think was great and like a good, just nice, easy learning curve for a lot of the Final Fantasy players, which kept them on it. And then they jacked up the first release, did the Baphomet, which was great. Which is, if you're gonna end a game because it's trash, that's the best way to do it. I love it.
Yeah.
if you're gonna end a game because it's trash, that is the best way to do it. Make it a game event, nuke the whole damn thing, and then start over, which was great. And that was a good one. And then with the DLCs and the expansions that came out, that added story, that added lore, that added things like that. Especially Final Fantasy already has a massive fan base. It's
huge.
gigantic.
It's worldwide.
Gigantic. And you get to appease them, and you get to make them happy while at the same time rebuilding the entire game you just had. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And it's a little late because maybe like last year at some point is when it really started taking off. But I think they deserve that. I think they deserve that, even though it came, some time after. I think that was really well deserved on their part, because they did a really good job at correcting their mistakes, listening to their players, and taking care of them.
And I think that's the issue we're going to see here in the future is Final Fantasy 14 may overtake WoW, in my opinion, very shortly as like the number one, and it will start to drain even more players. Because I even know a lot of my friends have migrated from WoW to Final Fantasy 14 because it's hands down. Like even me, I'm sitting here. If I wasn't a guild master right now for WoW, I might not stay on WoW. But because I run a guild of over 20 almost 20 people now. Over 20 people actually. I don't want to destroy what I have to start something new.
It's going to keep you there. You don't want to leave and have these guys that are still loyal to the game.
And I think that's the big issue. Final Fantasy 14 still has that. You need to go around, travel, visit, do other things, and be with people, as opposed to you log in and you're just like, I'll take a portal and I'm somewhere else now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
we've completely just serpentined Vic on this entire conversation.
I don't know much about this game anyway. I threw this one here honestly to talk about. Apparently they ran out of digital codes for the game. That's why I threw this one here. Which blew my mind. Like, how do you run out of digital codes when they're generated by a computer? So they should just continually degenerate. Like there should never be that.
That's not the thing, Vic. The algorithm you can only have. So say you have a phone number.
But no other game has ever run out of digital codes. Why this one? And other games have
because
sold
it's
more.
Worldwide.
Yeah, but other games have sold
they
more.
They weren't expecting it. That's the thing. They were like, we're not expecting that many people to buy it like this. And it literally launched, and people were like, wow, this is one of the best expansions this game. This is the best expansion this game has ever done.
I apologize for interrupting. I think somebody's at my front door real quick, and I'm not expecting anybody. I will be right back. I apologize.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, you're dealing with the fact that they weren't expecting the experience they got. They actually oversold themselves. And I think that's the thing. They were expecting to maybe sell a few million copies, but instead they sold way more than that. So
Right.
that's kind of what happened
But
there.
like running out, like couldn't they get to the point where they just like flip a switch and they like make more codes like almost
That's what they did.
instantaneously?
Not instantaneously, but yes, they have to wait till the codes are redeemed to get new codes, because they have to change how the codes are structured, because if you only have, say, 10 million options, if you sell 10 million, you have to come up with a new code now. You have to remake a new code because somebody already has that code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
it's definitely
no,
interesting.
it's definitely crazy that they actually oversold their estimates by a ton.
Right.
But
But when did Final Fantasy 14 originally come out, and then when did the new version come out?
Final
Because
Fantasy 14 came out in 2010, actually, so it's 11 years old now.
I
It
can't
came out
believe
in
it's been.
2010.
Can't believe it's that old already. Because I feel like what are
But
they on now? Like Final Fantasy 16 are about to come
Wrong
out.
building.
no. So that's the thing. Final Fantasy 12 and 11, I think it was either 11 or 12 was an MMO, and then they got rid of that one because that was an MMO on the PlayStation.
That's it.
Mm,
It was
So
an
it failed.
exclusive like
Yeah,
PlayStation 2 MMO.
that was 12. Yeah.
And then they did 14. So their iterations, they do their iterations in numerical order, but they're not relevant to each other than some assumptions you make, like some of the gods are the same, or some of the greater spirits or eidolons or whatever they want to call them in each iteration. They're kind of the same, or they'll use certain ones out of their pantheon. They have the same kind of classes typically, but Final Fantasy isn't chronological in any way, shape, or
No.
form.
That's why it's one of the
The
worst
the
series
only
to
way,
ever pick up with.
A general understanding of one
yeah,
overarching universe, and that is it.
yeah, you come in with one assumption that you have gods, classes, and certain things that are one way, but they may not always use that same iteration in the next game. Like Final Fantasy Tactics really built upon the fact that there were all these different classes, but Final Fantasy X, there were no classes. You had a character, and you got them gear, and you got them a few other things, and that was it.
Interesting.
Or you can have the greatest iteration of Final Fantasy, which was Chronicles of Myr. The GameCube. That one always keeps a nice near and dear spot in my heart. Loved that game. It was Final Fantasy, but tiny. It was
Right,
Yeah.
great.
right. But enough Final Fantasy talk. Let's move on to another, I guess Japanese type of game here. Ghostwire Tokyo being made by Bethesda Softworks. It was delayed until early 2022. This is kind of surprising. I mean, but in a way not, because like this is one of the two new games coming out of Bethesda Studios per se that are PlayStation exclusive that were signed before the whole acquisition. So,
hmm
but we barely seen anything from this game yet. Like we've seen very little bit, and it's the stuff that we have seen looks really good, really exciting. But it's just like, damn, like is this going to be the only delay because of not seeing the game? Like, is this game that underprepared where we still can't see other content yet? So it's very interesting to see. But again,
Or they're just trying to keep it, mystique, the
yeah,
mystery behind it.
right. It seems really intriguing, and I hope this is another one of those timed exclusives like the other one that's coming out, Deathloop, because that'll come to Xbox Game Pass a year later. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case with this
hmm
one. So this is nonetheless an interesting game. What's your
Well,
guys' thoughts on
and
this
the
game?
thing is, it's not an exclusive. It's on Windows. It's on Microsoft Windows.
Yeah. And if there's one thing that you can count on Bethesda to do, it's not put out a game you want. I've been waiting almost 10 years for the Elder Scrolls 6, and they are very good at not delivering something
got a
we
few
all
more years.
want.
I've already told you this.
It's
There are companies out there who market themselves on selling you what you already own. They will take the shirt off your back and sell it back to you. I
I
mean, Skyrim has been resold so many times.
and I bought every single one. God Emperor Howard owes me a Christmas card because I have 6 different copies of Skyrim. But at the same time, I would love to sit here and just rip on Bethesda not being able to release a game that
Yeah.
we all want. But also, I think Bethesda has learned something from Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah,
on there.
definitely, because they're in
And
the
I
same
think-
realm.
Yes, and I think, and especially watching this trailer, you kind of get like, maybe I'm just oversimplifying it, but you kind of get your Silent Hill, Cyberpunk 2077 mashup.
It looked
Yeah,
pretty
Um,
simple.
it's Bethesda is known for their RPG games, so it is an RPG game, but it's a
Yeah.
horror RPG, and it is a
Which
freeform RPG, not like a linear one. It's open world RPG.
yes, which
So-
which they have always excelled at. They've always been great at. I mean, the Fallout series, the Elder Scrolls series, they've been amazing. And I don't expect them to put any less effort into this than they would with Skyrim or Fallout. The lore there, the the open world, the way you can just play the game. Bethesda has always been a star with that, and they've always been to me like a cut above the rest on everything else with that. And I think that I'm hoping that they're taking this time to do
the game right.
And they're taking this time because they've learned what happened with Cyberpunk when a game that looks this good was rushed. And Bethesda, I mean, let's be honest, Bethesda is known for its bugs early game. Always has been, but that's because there's so many moving parts in a lot of what they do. And I really, really hope and I think that they're taking this time to actually do what they're saying that they're doing, is being able to give us the game that we want and deserve from this while still maintaining their vision and how they wanted to do it. I think we're safe with this. And I mean, it's been 10 years now. Another year is not going to hurt me on
a new
open world game. That's not going to hurt me at all. I'm pretty numb to that. So, what are you guys thinking on this?
Yeah, I think delaying it to 2022 is probably a good idea, and especially early 2022, where that's usually a time frame where we have very little game releases. So I think them putting this kind of game into that window
is going to make a big splash.
Right, and they're going to have a lot more players on that. Granted, it is a PlayStation and that I just found out PC exclusive, which is weird. But
I mean, they've always Bethesda's always put their game on PC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It went on PC before it went anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, for
so
sure.
So they're
a
PC developer one.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously this was made way before the buyout and stuff like that. But yeah, like you guys are saying, I hope this delay is for the better of the game and not for anything else. Like, if you have to delay it again, go ahead and delay it. Like, never be afraid to delay a game because it's only going to make the game better.
You only get one chance to make a good game. People make crappy games every day because they rush it and they have deadlines. People that can afford to delay, people that aren't going to be hindered by a delay, people that can actually take the time to do something that they need to and want to do, like Bethesda has all that. I think we're going to end up being in good hands. As much as I like to rip on Bethesda for selling me 6 copies of Skyrim and doing all that. I really think we're in good hands with this delay because they're not going to put out a shit game. They'll try their best to not put out a shit game. Now, if we get in there and the content kind of sucks, that's viewer opinion. But it's safe, I think, to say that any delay that they put on there is gonna be good, as long as we don't get the whiny fanboys like we did with Cyberpunk that wanted next gen now on yesterday's technology.
No, I agree.
I think, and expect it to be perfect. Now, if there are people that not expecting it to be perfect, I think we're good. But I think we'll be all right with this.
No, definitely. But other than that, I don't think there's too much else to really cover on this, other than the fact that if it takes a little bit of time, it takes a little bit of time. I would rather Bethesda give us a game similar to one of their older games than one of their rushed labors of one of their more rushed games.
Yeah, I'm the type of guy that makes.
My bad.
Fallout 76. Exactly. They sucked when they did that, man. It was terrible, and then they had to put out their patches and everything like that to take care of it. But I'm the type of guy, I'll put my hot pockets in a toaster oven and I'll wait 35 minutes.
Yeah, same.
Because good things take time, and Bethesda knows that.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be all right.
For sure.
So I think staying in the realm of PlayStation here, we should talk about the new purchase PlayStation just made. They bought Evo. Do you guys know what Evo is?
So Evo's
the tournament hosting service.
Well,
It was an online. It was an online tournament hosting. They've been doing things for years, like
Mhm.
Street Fighters, Tekken's,
Yep.
Killer Instincts. And they've been doing those for a long
1996.
time. Yeah, like they've been doing those for a long time.
We
They
looked
are
at
the name in online tournaments, and
Yep.
Sony just bought / became partner with them, and then patented the online tournament structure. I am interested to see how you guys think this could end up.
I definitely see it like, yeah, they can patent the online structure, but at the same time you can still host an online tournament. Like, you can still do it. It's just hosting it the exact way they do it is one thing. But I think with them going this move, the reason they did this, in my opinion, I think, is really to give them something that Microsoft doesn't have right now. Microsoft doesn't have an esports arc right now. They have a bunch of studios, they're a developer, they're a publisher, they're a console maker, but they're not an esports host.
Mhm.
They are not the center for esports.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And I
just-
think
they
this
got
is
out of it.
Sony's way of branching out and not playing Microsoft's game. Because if they play Microsoft's game, they're gonna lose. So they
100%.
rig the tournament in their favor. They're playing a whole different game.
Yeah, they and you know they nailed it. And as I was looking back, and I was looking back at diagrams of their structures for the actual network architecture, things like that. It looks really solid. I mean, they've been after
Yeah.
this for about 3 years now, and it's nice to see that they got it. But it's a big move, and it's a big thing that's gonna happen as far as esports online tournaments and go like that. And Sony, I don't think they have our worst interest in mind. You know, Sony wants to
Yeah.
be the people. You know, they want to be the people. They want to be the people that, you know, hey, we're in good hands. Sony's okay. Like, they have this, we're good. But yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack, for sure.
And the other thing that's crazy is Evo has always been known for being an in-person tournament. You know, it's where we've seen the famous, like, you know, frame perfect blocks on Ultimates in Street Fighter. You know, it's where we've seen some of these crazy game, you know, just crazy plays. But one of the things that I was reading online is people are worried that maybe Sony may remove games that aren't on their console.
And when I looked back, that was a big concern for a lot of people. But I don't think that's going to be. Looking at what Evo said, they're still going to be, you know, like their Killer Instinct on Xbox, their Street Fighter,
Smash.
and all that good stuff. Smash on Switch.
Yep.
From what I've seen, at no point does it seem like they're going to try to go away from that. Because that would be a
I hope
huge
they don't. Yeah, I agree, and I think this is definitely a move in the right direction if Sony wants to stay afloat against Microsoft from a business perspective. This gives them a whole new avenue that Microsoft is going to have a hard time competing, I think, because there aren't very many other tournament. There aren't any, you know. This is like buying the NFL essentially. This is Sony has bought the NFL.
Well,
Sony has
It's buying. Well, I would say it's buying the rights to the Super Bowl bracket.
I mean, no, it's literally buying an entire sport. This is fighting games. This is the only place people play fighting game tourneys. Really, any competitively 1v1 fighting games are played at Evo.
Yeah.
This is like buying an entire genre of video game tournaments. This is like
Fair.
buying an entire sport.
Fair.
So, got an input here for you guys. Is, Xbox actually has a tournament feature already, way ahead of PlayStation. It's called Arena Tournament Mode. It's a thing that you can actually set up tournaments on Xbox. That also, if you have Windows 10, you can join and stuff like that.
That's the thing. It's not AAA. It's like playing casual sports.
I get that, but you were trying to implement this is something that Microsoft doesn't have. Like, Microsoft already had this for like 6 years.
Well,
but they're not
they
taking
have
it
the ability.
serious yet.
Yeah,
they have the ability.
and that's the thing.
They have this feature, so it's just like if they see Sony
It's a
making
whole
moves
different
like this,
feature, though.
yeah. If they see Sony doing this, they can go, all right, cool. We'll just put more money into this now. Like they already have the groundwork there. So like they can make that change at a snap. Where like PlayStation is still playing catch up.
A snap is way too. You're wrong. Not as a snap. It will take years of development to get.
Take some time.
It'll take a long time. I think
it could happen though.
Yeah, it could. It's like saying my pickup league is going to end up rivaling. It's like saying I have a pickup league for football, but we're going to be bigger than the NFL one day. The problem is if you're going to play a fighting game tournament, you're going to play Evo because Evo is the fighting game tournament. It is where you go to play.
So does Evo only host fighting games then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, and that's
yeah.
and
Well,
that's
I
what the
guess-
question
I guess
comes
that's the
in, is it
limitations
only going to be fighting games?
Yes,
and
right.
if it
That's
is,
correct.
that will be their limfac.
Yeah.
Their limfac will be this is fighting game only. But
Mhm.
even though it's still really, really good for Sony to get in on that and have their
Mhm.
name, their brand, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
own, well, be partner with or whatever that, because if you look at a lot of the fighting games that exist are on PlayStation, so it
Yeah.
would really only make sense. I think it was a smart move on their part to get with Evo and say, hey, we're gonna daddy this
Yeah,
because they got
it's
Street Fighter. They
to give you an idea.
they have like 6 or 7 at the very least mainstream fighting games.
Well, and that's the thing. You're
So-
also not taking into account that Evo, literally 11 out of 12 of the games that are hosted at Evo are played only on PS4.
And the other one is Killer Instinct on Xbox. That's
No,
really it.
Fighting Nerd. No, this year they're not even doing Killer Instincts. It looks like.
That is a travesty.
Yeah, it's
That is
literally it's 11 PS4 games, and then only one game on PC, and it's called the Fighting Herd, which is like looks like a, I guess, an animal fighting game. But
I would
yeah,
love to see the
there's
Fighting Herd
11
fandom.
out of 12 of the games
All
are
14 of them.
Yeah, so it's definitely a right move for them, I think, because at this point all the games are being played on their console for Evo.
Oh yeah,
So-
definite power move on Sovi. I mean, bravo for them. That's a great move on their
Right.
part.
Yeah.
100%. I would love to see. I'm the kind of guy, like, I'm kind of scared of like one person having a patent, because then
Yes.
everyone else has got to follow that norm, and if they suck at it, everyone else is going to suck at it.
Oh no, I agree, and I definitely am worried that
I mean, Evo's been great, but Sony loves fucking things up.
yeah.
They've done it with movies. They've done it with everything like that. They love. They're almost as bad as Warner Brothers with DC movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're almost. I mean, almost as bad. I mean, nobody's really
Yeah.
as bad as Warner Brothers with DC movies. But
But no,
hopefully, they just kind of adopt it and go from there, and
Mhm.
just give them that kind of Sony backing and Sony infrastructure. I mean, it really is a win for Evo as well, because now they have Sony backing their tournament.
Yeah.
Like their tournament structure, and they have Sony taking care of them, because Sony is gonna want it to work, and with that, Evo's gonna make it work, which they've already been doing since '96.
Yeah.
But now they got the super rich benefactor. So hopefully that's good.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I think we could end up on the plus side with this, with
Definitely.
a lot of how this will turn out.
yeah, and I think as I said, this is just Sony's way of entering an entirely new playing field that Microsoft really doesn't have that much of footing in. It's I get Microsoft has the ability to play tournaments and stuff with your friends, but it's not like
Not this level.
it's not this
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
It is not a worldwide tournament infrastructure. And now they patent the online version of it, how to do it online.
Or
Right.
maybe in a few years we get the Windows versus Mac. Like, hey, are you a Microsoft tournament guy, or are you a Sony tournament guy? Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but hey, we could
Yeah.
see that, because
It's a
I think the growth that that Vic was talking about is 100% possible, 100% plausible, could happen, and especially with the realm that they have their tournament structure and bracket with really anything versus specifically fighting games. I think we could see a lot of growth on that, and I think Sony doing this is going to send that demand signal.
Yeah.
And we can see some growth, and we could see some really good competition where ultimately we all end up winners. Because we're going to have we could end up with a good pseudo flawless like tournament system. And when I was looking at it, it's like you can invite people that you just played with. Like it's like for example, hypothetically, I got on Call of Duty and I played solos, or I played duos and trios and whatever, and I can pull up everybody that I played with, thanks to the Season 4 patch, and super easy thanks to the Season 4 patch, and I can invite everybody to a tournament. That's with the client to host system that they had on their infrastructure. It looks really good. But then again, socialism also looks good on paper. So it's intent versus implementation that we're gonna have to really focus on and worry about. And I think they're gonna be okay with it. So
Yeah.
it'll really come with time how we end up feeling about it, because we could feel completely different in about 10 months.
Right.
No, I agree, and I think we should move on here. Sticking in the Sony world, there are rumors suggesting that Netflix and Sony are going to partnership for the new gaming branch of Netflix.
Yeah. So this is my thoughts on this here is, this is their way of getting into the whole Game Pass realm without going through all those steps of having a service, of creating that structure that's already. Netflix already has a structure there. You add one more layer to it. Go, all right, this is the catalog for games, and then boom, like they have it. Netflix does it really simple. Like they even have it broken down to like each genre and stuff like that. You can switch from main Netflix to kids Netflix. So like you can just have one more category, gaming. So like that'll be pretty cool to see like how they implement that, especially to the PlayStation. Like, do they create like a Netflix PlayStation gaming app or whatever they decide to call it? The PlayStation Netflix Pass, or I don't know. You can name it whatever you want.
I'm gonna straight up say you guys got me on this one, because when I looked at the itinerary, I was like, oh, Netflix and Sony, that's gonna be really awesome for all these movies that we can get. And it didn't say gaming in there, and I was like, "Oh,
well,
so
that's the thing.
my toes, let's do it."
That's how
Netflix and Sony have already been in partnership for all of Sony's movies. All of Sony's movies go straight to Netflix first. So they're already in talks, in partnership. They're already sitting at the same table. So what's stopping them from, making that table, a little bit more permanent?
Right.
So what are they going to use?
What's that?
What are they going to use? So like, yeah, you have Netflix and things like that with Sony movies that you can just go ahead and auto stream. How are they going to handle the actual gaming aspect of it? How that, especially any online games, like how are they going to handle it?
There may be a download system, but that's the thing. It's only rumors. There's no confirmations.
Right. This is
so what we're looking at is
here.
Yeah. So honestly, I could definitely see it being a real thing, and it may even get to the point where Netflix may pull itself from certain consoles because they have a partner. They may get in bed with Sony even more and just
only go to PlayStation.
Yeah, that would suck.
I mean,
no more Netflix unless I get a PlayStation 5.
We've got the internet. We're all right.
I mean, I got a PC and it works just fine on PC.
We got the internet. We're fine.
But
my TV you see back here is hooked up via HDMI. We all right.
Yeah. So it's definitely one of those things where I'm interested to see what happens, but I'm not jumping to any conclusions yet because they're already in bed together, yes, but it's going to take a while before they get anywhere with their streaming app, because they really have to figure out what they want it to do, how they want it to work, and then who knows, maybe they will be in bed and Sony will have its Game Pass.
Right. That's my thinking about this is their answer to Game Pass. That's
if Sony's going to do a Game Pass, they just need to do it on the console. They just need to do it on the PSN and call it a day.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they could just combine both of their subscriptions they have now and just create like a Game Pass, like PS Plus, PS Now, and just combined it.
They could do like, oh, PSN now includes Netflix.
Yeah.
Free of charge. But
it could be like.
Yeah, I think Game Pass via Netflix would be going around your elbow to get to your ass, honestly.
Because Xbox has a partnership with Disney Plus, so this could be just their competition with that kind of partnership. Maybe I'm just overlooking it, but I'm looking at it from a more perspective.
Yeah.
The demand is there. Like the PlayStation users are wanting a Game Pass. Like they're like drooling out their mouths because of Game Pass. Like the value
Yeah,
that we always
there's
talk
so
about.
much
They
missing
want
for
it.
them.
Yeah,
Oh, and Game Pass has been phenomenal. And the
Yeah.
way they executed was great.
and it's only
I
going to
would
get better. They haven't even
I would
opened the floodgates yet.
Yeah, I would love to see that on a PSN, but not through Netflix. Not Netflix shouldn't be a
Well,
pseudo.
the thing is, Netflix is already doing their game streaming service. They're already in development for it. So
Right.
the only next logical conclusion is they're going to do it in hands with Sony.
Now, when you say game streaming, do you mean like live streaming for them? Like,
No,
hey,
Like
I can
streaming
pull up
games
like
like
League of
Game
Legends.
Pass.
like
or
Game
something like
Pass,
that?
like Game Pass. They're already working on a Game Pass style thing.
Because how
I feel
like
like Sony should
xCloud
get
works,
that
you're
in-house.
streaming the games like to your phone or to your tablet or the
They've
browser and stuff.
because
Yeah.
they've already announced that is under it's in development, not like rumors or anything. They've announced they are making their own gaming service. It already is out there in betas and things like that. Like NDAs are out there for alphas.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll
So
definitely.
they're in alpha phase. Okay. I still feel like I don't know if there was going to be a streaming service to Netflix, it would be like, hey, here's League of Legends World Champs, watch it live on Netflix. That's the stuff they
Yeah.
need to worry about.
That's also a
If
possibility.
if PSN wants a fucking Game Pass, then
They
just
should make
need
it
to
themselves.
Make it for their damn. They should just make it for their damn PSN because that
The
once
problem
again
is-
it sounds you're going up here to get down here.
Mhm.
Like it just that seems messy. That seems
I
super
think
messy.
I think the thing you're not taking into account though is Netflix already has the data and infrastructure to host things. Netflix has already got the backbone. Sony doesn't.
Yeah.
Sony's servers are shite. Let's get that out of the air. They're garbage.
Fair.
Why would
So
they
that's where need-
they host a streaming service off of a Game Pass style situation off of their already shitey servers?
Well,
I mean-
also, why would they not take that money from PSN and put it into their infrastructure?
Because who knows what they're doing with their money.
Because
That's
they're-
like how are like that to me. As you know, Vic, you already know. Roger, I told you before. I'm a comm guy. I do networks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you get that money and you're not putting it into your own infrastructure, what the hell are you doing with it?
paying people.
Yeah, paying people is one thing, but
I mean, paying
upgrading your
good people.
infrastructure, future-proofing yourself, making sure that you could do this, you wouldn't have to
Yeah.
rely on Netflix.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, Netflix, excellent, excellent infrastructure, excellent storage, like everything like that. They've been doing it right since.
And
the
I
beginning.
think that's exactly why Sony may be partnering with them for this.
But that begs the question: what did Microsoft do right when they came after after the original PlayStation? Like
Mhm.
the Xbox didn't show up until shit. When did the Xbox show up? A long time ago, but
It was
way
like
after
01.
PlayStation. How did they not have this in mind? I mean, I get it where
Well,
you don't
I think-
understand where the future's going to have.
I think
But
the
like,
thing you're
how
not
are
taking
they
into
not
account is
putting into it?
Microsoft has always been competing with PlayStation. PlayStation didn't have a fucking care about Microsoft. They were like, Xbox, what the fuck is that? We don't
and
care.
yet here they are.
Yes.
And yet here they are with Game
That's
Pass,
the thing.
cloud servers, everything like that they've had to take care of
Microsoft
and make
has
sure that
been,
this is a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Microsoft has always been trying to one up their competition. That's how they grew. Sony is now on the back burner going, well, we need to retain our people
Right.
and then we'll be fine because they're hemorrhaging people more and more.
I feel with the first thing I played on was a PlayStation. Well, not the first thing. One of the first
Consoles.
next gen consoles at the time that I played on was a PlayStation. It wasn't until the PS2, PS3, well, PS2, that the Xbox really came out.
Yeah.
So they already had this leg up. So how are they not taking care of their own infrastructure to the point that we're going to a third party to try to host?
Well,
like an Xbox,
they're
like a
kind of one of the
PlayStation Pass.
they're one of the first people to do something, and I think at some point they stopped trying harder because they didn't have to. They were in the lead. They were winning. Their consoles were doing all the work. And then they were like, wait, Microsoft has this really good backbone for playing games. Microsoft has an online
And
service that's
Microsoft
better
had
than ours.
Windows at the ass end of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Microsoft,
So,
well, and
all
that
in
didn't
all,
really come till later, but
if you combine PC and Xbox, there's way more of those than there are PlayStation. So
well, yes, but that's the thing. PlayStation doesn't have an OS. It's comparing apples to oranges there.
yeah, but you can still compare them.
You can, but I mean, like, it's not really the same. It's like saying, well, now then, let's count up all the, all the Linux and all the Sony, or all the Apple computers and all the Sony, Then you're starting to look at, oh, okay, well now they've got,
Right.
sizable
I just feel like now looking forward to future proofing and being able to do these things
Oh yeah,
yourself.
it was an asinine decision, but
Yeah.
that's what they did.
And that's the argument I'm
Yeah.
ultimately making is I think that was just a gross mismanagement of where you should really put the money you're making
Yeah,
into future proofing yourself, your company, and taking care of what you want to do instead of going to rely on a third party. I think that's going to be a mistake in itself. I think that money should really be redirected
I mean,
towards servers, infrastructure,
my
things like
worry
that
is if
to
they
take
do
care
it
of it.
themselves, I'm worried that it's just going to flounder. Though that's the problem. That they're probably not going to be in a position to really do
Only
it well.
really if they do it poorly, then yes. But I mean,
But
like
that's what I expect from Sony.
you have PlayStation players that are just foaming at the mouth for something like Xbox Game Pass that's going to give you something like that. So why would you not put the money towards, which has been a theme, seems like the entire night, towards what people want?
Yeah. Well,
And if you want to do that, why would you not want to own that? Because you
well,
owning that
that's the
would
thing.
be
They could permanently partner with Netflix. We don't know. There's a lot in the works. Like Netflix could be doing the streaming service for them, and then they could buy them out. Because Sony's bigger than Netflix.
Sony's massive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they
sure.
could easily buy Netflix down the road if they wanted to.
But Netflix has gotten super huge over the years. So honestly, I mean,
yeah, it's
we could.
interesting to see.
I mean, I could also see Netflix being like, "Hey, go fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
we're not hosting your shit anymore. Go build it yourself. Oh, you can't? That sucks.
Yeah.
Because you spent all your money on us and other shit instead of taking care of yourself and making sure that you were going to be self-sufficient.
Oh yeah.
In 2025.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
we got one more gaming topic here, kind of per se, because this is a whole entire gaming podcast. I should say gaming news. The new Gundam Evolution game that was announced, and it's coming, I guess, exclusively to PC in 2022. Which
Mobile suit Overwatch. I can't wait.
I have
cool.
not seen a Gundam game in forever.
Right.
I'm really excited for the Gundam game.
It looks like it's like a hero shooter, like you were saying, like Overwatch, Valorant, like Apex, like specific class, like each person.
I haven't had a good mecha game in a long time. That's the issue. I haven't had a good mecha game, like just giant mech suits. It's always been. I haven't had that in a while, and I miss that. And I think this is the step in the right direction.
Yeah, so
I think it's gonna be great.
Awesome. I thought the trailer looked pretty cool.
The trailer was great. I was kind of a little weirded out about classes. Your sniper, your hammer, which was Reinhardt but Gundam. But like Roger said, I have been excited for a mech game for like ever. When I was a kid, little like 14, 15-year-old Scott, we had this arcade in our local mall called Boardwalk Boulevard, and in there they had a mech game. I could never remember the name of it. I can't. But when you got in, like, you had your joysticks and you had like everything around there. But what you did was you piloted a mech suit and you fought another mech suit. And it was one of the funnest games I've ever played. And this really reminded me of that game. This is, of course, first person, but it was absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna play it either way.
I definitely gonna give it a try.
Yeah, looking at it, totally. I mean, with the hammer and the sniper and everything like that, and like all their different classes. Like, I'm really looking forward to Mobile Suit Overwatch, but I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it 100%. Absolutely.
The last mech game I can remember enjoying was Slay, whatever it was called. PS2.
Slay.
Yeah, OG classic game. That was a lot of fun.
on
Unfortunately,
PS2.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. But
Alrighty.
but let's move
So
on to our big meat part of this week's news is the Steam Deck was announced. Obviously, by the name, it's being created by Valve, Steam, and stuff like that. It's basically a Switch, but way better. Roger, what's your
Alright.
thoughts?
So I think the Steam Deck is what we need right now. So the mobile market has been inundated with phones, and I think that's our big issue right now. I don't want a phone. I'm tired of people like phones are the next gaming. I'm like, no, they're not. Phones are garbage. Okay, I hate playing. You don't want to
It's
be
stupid. It's
Yeah.
stupid. It's
Why are my
dumb.
joysticks on my screen? So
It's
I
dumb.
think
Yeah,
I
so then
think
you're left with like a little rectangle of real estate.
Yeah.
The only thing you should be playing on your phone is an old school like Game Boy emulator, and that is it. Like
Yeah.
I got Pokemon Red, I got Pokemon Blue, I got like Fire Red, like everything like that. Absolute bullshit.
I think the Steam Deck is what we need right now, and I think it was good timing on their part. They waited right when Nintendo released their thing, and everyone's like,
This is terrible.
oh,
Oh no!
it's not an
57
upgrade, it's a side grade.
OLED screen.
Like, don't get me
Jesus.
wrong, if you're looking for a new Switch, it's great, but it's only a side grade for the people who are already in the industry. Like, we're here. I have a Switch. Vic has a Switch.
I got a Switch.
Yeah,
It's
You
right
got a
here.
Switch. We're not looking for a fucking side grade.
And
We
I
were looking
don't
for
play
an
it very
upgrade.
often.
Oh, I love the Switch,
And
but
now
I
you
just
gave
don't
me
play it
no
that
more of a
often.
reason to play it anymore.
Yeah, you're not bringing me back. You pushed me further away, and I think what's really awesome about the Steam Deck, they said you're not locked into an OS. You can put whatever OS you want on it. We put the Steam OS on it. It's like giving you a Google Chromebook and saying you can put whatever you want on it. It's just a really easy tablet style laptop that's ready to go. But like, put fucking Windows on it. Install whatever you want on it. It
Do
is
whatever the hell you
literally.
want.
It's
Yeah.
a computer on the go. It is literally what we need. It is a laptop replacement and a phone replacement. It merges laptops for mobility. Like it's a mobile computer on the go, like a laptop, but it's also meant to play games,
Right.
like an actual
I
console.
liked what the developer said. He was like, "This isn't a mobile console. This is a computer that."
It's a mobile computer.
A mobile computer
They're
that has a
selling you a
controller
mini
attached
PC.
to it. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. Like, it's perfect. And I love how it has so many different inputs of like controlling. Like, it legit has the joysticks. It has the little touchpad. It's also a touchscreen. It also has the gyroscope, or like whatever.
It has the
paddles on the
buttons.
back. Yeah, it has the paddles on the back like the pro controllers have that you can remap to whatever you want it to be.
Which I
Like-
think might be kind of weird with the 3 and 4, but we'll see how that ends up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But either
But
way,
definitely.
still amazing.
I think this console is what we need right now. The problem that I'm worried about is Steam and Valve. Valve is notorious for god awful products hitting the market, and then they're like, "Oops, sorry."
Yeah, and I'm interested to see
Fair.
like the pricing structure kind of just baffles me. Like at the highest like storage capacity, like 500 gigabytes or whatever, it's like $600 or $700 for the console for this mobile thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's more expensive than a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. Like, and
Yeah.
it does a lot less. It has a lot.
I
less
mean-
storage.
that I didn't
I
like.
mean, I
that.
disagree. I
Like,
disagree.
If you had
It
included
does-
a terabyte at the highest level, I would have been.
I
I'd have been
didn't.
bored.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that. Based specifically off of how they tried to advertise it. When, you know what?
I mean,
I pulled up the stat structures. Give me 2 seconds.
There-
Yeah. So you're looking at 256 gigabytes NVMe SSD.
Yeah.
Okay. Versus 512 NVMe SSD. And here's what I didn't like about it when I first looked at it. 256 NVMe SSD, faster storage. 512 NVMe SSD, fastest storage. NVMe is an architecture.
Yeah.
You can't just change how fast it is. So,
Well,
but they don't give you.
yes and no.
what-
You'd still have read and write speeds that you
Yeah.
can meet. So they
So-
could meet better read-write speeds based on
So-
how they have the chip run.
So exactly. So they're having the chip run. So why are they having the chip run lower at 529 versus higher at 640?
It may be based on how because chips, when you wire up a chip, you're going to have you're going to have limitations, and I think the way they chose to use the more expensive actual chips on
Well,
it allows them a little
the
more.
question there would be the system bus.
Yeah.
That would be the question there. So, does it come with a better system bus? Does it come with a better actual motherboard? And if so, why are they not advertising that?
Yeah.
And why are they saying carrying case, faster storage, fastest storage, when it's still NVMe?
Right.
So, are they saying that for $529, they're giving you faster storage because the system bus can't meet that, or at $649, obviously the system bus can meet that, but either way you look at it, it implies a different motherboard.
Right.
Um,
but I know
I
the
mean,
but how are you still doing fastest and faster when at the end of the day you're still at 720p?
Yeah.
That's the big one for me.
Well, hopefully it's just a poor marketing thing in it where like they actually are the same speeds regardless of the storage. Hopefully that was just terrible wording on their end. But I do know no matter what version it is running on the RDNA 2 architecture, which is the same architecture that Xbox is hyping up like the next level of the architecture. So hopefully we get huge benefits from that. But the resolution, it was 720 on the screen.
It was 720. Yeah, it was boo boo boo. Let me pull it back up.
It's so frustrating that we're still rocking 720p.
Steam Deck price. Okay, so we're looking at resolution 1280 by 800, refresh rate 60 hertz. Now, and to understand, I mean, that's not bad for a handheld system that lets you access all of your games all of the time.
Right.
But at the same time, so 7-inch, we got storage. You have three choices: 64 gigabytes eMMC, 256 NVMe SSD, 512 NVMe SSD. It's 16 gigs of RAM at LPDDR5. Not terrible at all.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I would say leagues and bounds above the new Switch.
Oh, it's way better.
But it was also, but with the new Switch, they're also talking about 4K upscaling on your dock.
Yeah.
And they're talking about you're looking at a line in the code, not a line in the code, but in the firmware that was 4K DP preferred over USB 3.0. So they're looking at a lot of things that the Switch might end up doing over the OLED screen. But I do love the fact that this was a big kick in the ass to the Switch for only giving us an OLED screen. Because so you're looking at the new AMD Zen 2. So you're looking at 4 cores, 8 actual threads, 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz. It's gonna be great. I mean, don't expect fantastic, shit just because it's doing this. But like, you're mobile, you shouldn't expect that shit anyway.
Oh yeah.
I would never expect fucking 4K from something that I can pick up and go sit in a car and play for 3 hours.
Yeah, there's one thing I do have an issue with that I think we're not addressing here, though, when we compare it to the Switch. The Switch comes with a dock.
That was another thing I was going to talk about. Is the fact that that's a big mistake. That is a big mistake right out of the gate. Is selling the dock separately. Now they said that you can use a 3.0 dock if you have it, but please show me somebody that's got a fucking 3.0 dock hanging around. The fact that they're not selling it right away with the actual console is astounding to me, because they're gonna sell. They already know this stuff's gonna come out in December, and you can't make a dock for it. You can't throw a bundle in. Like that's a really bad play on my on.
It's coming out June, July next year, and then August for the final
even
version.
Longer.
Yeah,
even longer. Great.
It's not coming out till Q2 2022 for the
still don't get, and yet they still don't get a dock. In my mind, that's the big fuck up.
Yeah, and I agree. I put myself down as a reservation for the 649 one because it's a $5 refundable deposit that you can put on it.
Yeah.
But I put myself down for the highest quality one because it comes out a whole quarter after the the mid tier. So we're gonna get to see what happens here. But I definitely agree. Not having the whole dock with it ready to go.
Weird to me. It's
you're
weird.
Like, this
you're
is supposed to be a Switch killer, but then we're not going to give you the things that make the Switch
to kill the
a Switch.
Right.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
It's kind of like a Switch killer, but it's not, because like this is more of a Switch Lite killer because you can't take the controller off or whatever. I mean, I guess you can hook up an Xbox controller.
It's a Switch Lite killer, as you said. Yeah.
Right. So like, I think what they're trying to make this as is like this is just like a mobile gaming rig where like
it's a mobile gaming PC,
which you could want if you want to dock it. That's up to you, but we're not advertising this as a dock system. Like we don't want it to be like Switch where you're constantly switching.
Game Boy.
Right. Like we want you to just have this on the go at all times, because people who have this already usually have a Steam account. Well, guess where they have a Steam account? Already on their computer, because there's no point to have that Steam Deck if they already have a computer like docking it. That's not what that's for. This is to take people who have computers already at home already on the go. That's all. This is what I'm interpreting as. To counter you guys' argument. Otherwise, they give you the option. If you want to dock it, go ahead and dock it, but you do it on your own cost. But I do get why is it not included and stuff like that, especially at that price.
Well, I mean,
it's totally understandable. Now, like when you look at it from that perspective, where it's like, well, if you're at home, you're already going to be on your PC.
Well, and then the other follow up as well is, do you sell laptops with the docks? Do you get your Apple computer with a dock?
No.
To hook it to a monitor?
Historically, no.
No. Do you get a Dell or HP laptop with a dock? No. You have to buy that separately. So if this is supposed, because they at no point did Steam say this is supposed to be a Switch killer. The market said that, and they knew what we were going to say. But at the same time,
right? Well, they're saying it doesn't help that Switch just came out with the OLED like a week before, and they were like, "Hey guys, here's the Steam Deck." And also another fun thing, Elgato also released their Stream Deck. Boy, did that go fucking crazy on Twitter, because they were like, "Did Elgato pick a very terrible day to release that?" Because it was really messed up with the names, like Steam and Stream, and they both called Deck, and it was just like terrible. I was just like,
that shit just came out because I saw that at Best Buy the other day, and I didn't know.
Yeah, Elgato released their Stream Deck.
That was a very, very unfortunate juxtaposition for them.
They already had everything minted and ready to go, and they were like, "Well, shit."
Yeah, because damn. I don't know. I think I don't foresee Switch killer, anything like that, because let's be honest, nobody can make some better games like Nintendo can.
Switch will never be killed because of the exclusives.
I'm gonna be really upset if Breath of the Wild 2 only comes out on the Switch 2. That's when I'll be upset, and that's when you'll catch me here.
If we even see the Switch 2 anytime soon.
But yeah, and
Switch
so
Pro, the new Switch, whatever they want to call it,
But I think as far as mobility goes, I think Steam's gonna win that. As far as mobility goes, that's insane. Now, and like you said, Vic, with the fact that here's why it's not coming with a dock, because when you're at home, play on your damn PC, which we all will do.
Well, and you know what's even crazier? This is a huge boon for Microsoft, because if you just install Windows 10 on it, now it becomes a literal Game Pass on the go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Even
exactly.
This is like I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that just made me excited.
It's gonna be massive. It's gonna be massive.
Now I have a legitimate on-the-go rig to play Xbox Game Pass. I tried it on my phone. It's terrible.
And the fact that that Steam just put out basically, for lack of a better, not even for lack of a better term, they put out this open source piece of equipment that's going to be able to play all of your PC games. You can do whatever the hell you want on it. That's huge. It's going to be great. I'm excited for the Steam. I'm excited for the Steam Deck. I'm going to wait a little bit because I don't buy day one shit, but I'm excited to see how this goes, because if that takes off, then it really just cornered Nintendo on the market regarding mobility and ease of access.
Because Nintendo didn't have competition, and I think this is going to be a great way for Nintendo to go, well, guess we do need a Switch Pro now. now
Right.
and not
Right.
later. You know,
Right.
we can't just keep
Well,
beating
it's
around
like
the bush.
when you send out you send out OLED for a Switch too, but you don't up CPU, you don't up any of the actual hardware except for a screen that's slightly bigger.
Point A.
Like that's not even like gee they kind of I think it was a flop for them. They kind of fucked it up
No, I
because
agree.
that was your chance to give you a better CPU, like it was gonna run faster, look better, everything like that, and
Yeah.
they had this giant opportunity in their hands, and they go, I don't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody was
Like,
expecting the Switch Pro to come
and
out and it
then
would be announced.
yeah, and then Steam was like, fine, fuck you, we'll do it ourselves.
Well,
Is really
and
kind of what happened.
they've had this in the works for a while, and I think with the Switch flopping, it only gave them free publicity. This was literally a free win for Steam.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And it's just another excuse
I
for
got
Steam
one
to
last
take my
question
money.
on this, though, before we move on to our last portion of the segment here. Do you think that they'll bundle this with their Steam controller that flopped?
No,
That'd be
because it's
interesting.
already it's a
No.
controller.
Like,
You've
no,
already got a
Yeah.
controller.
like what happens
I don't.
if they do, like, if they release a version later where it comes with the Steam Deck, comes with the controller, and it comes with a dock?
That's the play they would have to make. Is hey, here's your Steam Deck. You already got that, and then here is your new bundle with the dock and the controller.
Yeah, they could.
That would be the only way they'd really be able to market that. But even at the same time, once again, we have to revert back to the fact that I could load up Steam right now and not fucking play that.
Yeah.
Like
It would be nice on the go if I was like with people and I took it over to their place. But like if I'm at my own home, typically I'm gonna have my own PC if I'm playing Steam games.
as long as their kickstand isn't like the first Switch. Honestly, the only real big improvement from the new Switch to the old Switch, or the old Switch to new Switch, is the kickstand, because I've only had to use it a handful of times, but every single time that motherfucker fell down and it broke. That's the only real upgrade that I see in the new Switch.
Right, I definitely agree with you, Ocelot. I hope it doesn't flop.
Go.
I definitely hope it doesn't flop. Seems like your excitement for it is like Rogers for Halo Infinite. That's what I'm getting out of it.
I can't wait for Halo Infinite. There was a time where I was like, oh my god, another Halo game, and then I was like, oh my god, another Halo game. Like, hell yeah, let's go.
Hopefully
Can't
it's
wait
not
for that.
as the last.
Yeah, we can only hope. But
So,
we'll see in
last
November.
thoughts? Yeah, any last thoughts on the Steam Deck before we get to our deep freeze moment of the week?
Can't wait to see how it goes. Can't wait to see if Steam is actually going to be able to move in and give us a fourth competitor in this market. Honestly,
I'm excited for it. I've already put money down to get a copy of it, because if it is good, I'm gonna get it.
It's gonna be hard as hell to get anyway.
I'm gonna be a whole quarter behind anyone else who gets it, so I'll at least get to see good or bad.
Right.
Yep. I'm waiting for day one, because day one shit's always bad. So we'll see how it goes after that. I mean, I could foresee some maybe thermal issues with the actual hardware. I could see some latencies in the FPS and stuff like that. So I'm just waiting. I'm gonna wait, but I'm definitely excited to see how the hell they do, and I'm really excited to see Steam actually come into the market. They've been the #1 proprietor of PC games for how long? Which is gonna be great, and that, I think, is gonna move us into our next one about the digital games.
Right. So, getting into our deep freeze moment of the week, I do have a question here that I want to present to everybody here. Do you think games will become digital only in the near future? If so, why or not? But also, what are the benefits and cons of a digital versus hard copy? We'll start with you, Roby.
So, not near future. In the future, yes. Not near future. There are still plenty of people that are limited on their internet, their internet connection, download speeds, and with the way consoles are right now, they're still very limited on storage space and things like that. So imagine, wanting to keep 3 games that you play and you kind of cycle through them. You're talking you're talking, 128 gig. Well, we'll just hypotheticalize this. You're talking 128 gigs. Maybe you don't have anything that's 128 gigs. Maybe you don't have the download speed. Maybe it takes you 3 days to download it. There's plenty of people that I deal with every day that are on satellite, things like that, where they can't even download a program.
America's a third world country when it comes to internet speed.
When it comes to internet, it's terrible, and I blame Comcast. Anyway,
well, Comcast and Verizon, they own a monopoly, so they don't have to improve.
Oh, but there's not a monopoly because there's two of them. Shit like that.
There's technically more, but they're like very minimal.
Yeah. So, but no, not in near future. Definitely future, but that's going to rely on a lot of internet companies actually taking the mantle and making sure that people can have this, and it's going to rely on a lot of things like, I can throw storage in my PC. You can't just throw storage in an Xbox. You can't throw storage in a PlayStation. You can't throw storage in a Switch or even a Steam Deck. You can't.
You can add, but you can't really improve.
Yes.
The storage isn't as good.
Yes. So, and you have
three external hard drives hooked up to my Xbox right now. So
I think we're coming to a culmination where eventually that will become a reality. But at the same time, like I said, you have people that are on satellite internet. You have people that are out in the sticks. Where I grew up, love me the sticks, that just don't have the internet access and things like that. Not to mention, you have so many games right now that require online play that not having that is kind of, you can't fucking play it. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna make games that don't require online play. What do you need for that? Probably a hard copy, because you can't access the internet to access your digital copy.
And I think we're going to probably definitely see, I just want to piggyback before you move off of this, we're definitely going to see a transition here. Whatever your opinion is on the current presidency, we're definitely going to see a change if the infrastructure bill goes through, for example. We're going to see, we're going to see quality of internet levels that, Korea has, South Korea. Everyone has a gigabit internet speed across the entire country for the most part. Look at us. Comcast and Verizon own all of the infrastructure for internet. And if you want to get good internet into the sticks, you've got to buy your own T1 line. You've got to pay for the infrastructure and then pay for the service.
That doesn't.
So
and that's a massive bill, and that's a massive bill that people can't
thousands
afford.
of dollars. It's thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't see it going away. Also, my own personal opinion, physical copies should never go away. So we're paying at least $60 for a game, at least. $100 if you want upgraded features in FIFA. So we're paying all of this money for what?
And we're paying for
nothing.
No, we're actually paying for something. But the problem at hand, I think that I'll fight you on this. I think that $60 is fine for a game, digital or otherwise. The thing that I think is important about a physical copy is for record keeping purposes. How you can't find Battletoads out there anymore. You have to get a physical copy to really play it.
Or Roger, hey, say for some reason I get a game, I have I got a digital copy, and you're like, hey, I would really like to try this game out.
Can't.
I'd be like, I would love to, but it's digital.
It's digital. Yeah, exactly.
I can't.
There's no way to share the media.
Unless you got the Xbox Family Pass or some shit like that. So and here's my conflicted argument, because I hate it, is what games used to be $30, $40, and now we're paying $60 for something that we can't even physically hold in our hands. I don't like that.
Yeah, and we're getting less and less content.
We're getting less and less content for more and more, because because
people are going to buy it anyway.
Because my thinking,
it was dumb.
If you want to buy Halo Infinite, for example, when it comes out, how much is this game going to cost? Because it better not be $60. It better not be $70. Because guess what? Multiplayer is free to play. And granted, yes, it's on Game Pass technically, but people like to own their game, so it's still going to be purchasable. How much is that
bitch going to end up being like $69.99?
Right. I'm saying, how is this game going to be $60?
Because it's next gen. Now it's next gen, so it's $70 instead of
It's going to be
$60.
considered
Can't wait for
current gen
that.
by the time it comes out.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot to be said about the
Bless you.
ability for games to be experienced, because digital copies take away a lot of value. You have to really game the system, and then you have to use the features to get around DRM, because digital rights media is a huge problem. Like we talked about it last week.
DRM's a massive problem.
Yeah, DRM is killing games. Like last week, we talked about how people have broken DRM code for the newest Resident Evil, and it fixed the game. It made the game more playable.
Yeah.
Like, so I think DRM is definitely an issue we're dealing with, because with DRM, if you have a physical copy of the disc, it's a lot harder to get DRM, because you've got to actually rip the CD, and you can't rip the CD unless you have tools to rip it. But with a digital copy, all you have to do is just share the digital copy with somebody, and how do you lock it down? You have to have a software now in the game while it's being played to keep it DRM. So I definitely agree. All digital copies is the future, but it's not going to be near future. It's just one of those things that we've got to do it right. Yes, DRM is a big issue, and I agree. You should, if people have to make money to be able to keep making these things, because developers need to eat and feed their families as well. But the problem at hand is, how do we go to sharing these things? Like at some point, there's not going to be a library out there where you can keep these things, where they will be there forever. Once the service goes down, you lose your digital copies. That's a huge problem.
Right.
Like
Not to mention what. Okay, so think back to Xbox days, original Xbox days. What were we paying for? We were paying for the case. We were paying for the disc.
the
we
manual.
Were paying for the manual. We were paying for everything that went into giving us that physical copy. So explain to me. This isn't a challenge or anything like that. This is a challenge to actual developers, not you.
It's hypothetical.
Explain to me why I'm paying more for less. Because all you do is give me something that I can digitally download and lose access to at any given time, versus pulling my Xbox off of the network and, fucking some shit in Blood Gulch. Like, originally when it first started, you were paying for the manufacturing, you were paying for the writing, you were paying for the plastic, you're paying for the manual, you're paying for
an experience,
you're paying for Fusion Frenzy and shit like that, and so explain it. And this is the hardest thing that anybody would have to argue me on, is why am I paying more for less now? Like, because
it's no longer an experience. You're only getting a game.
I'm paying $70 for something that I can download that can be lost at any given time, that I can't just hold on to. Like, and it's like they never nixed the cost of the actual manufacturing of these games that I went to Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop to get.
There's no shipping, there's no manufacturing.
And they've given us less. Because now you don't get the full game. Now here's a digital download of your game, but it's the skeleton. And here's a digital download of your burger. It comes with a bottom bun, burger, and top bun. Oh, cool. Where's my lettuce, tomato, and
you gotta buy the DLC and the battle passes.
Oh, no, you gotta buy that. That's another $30.
Yeah.
So by the time you've gotten a full game, in some cases, EA, you've spent $130, $150.
Yeah.
For what should have been the game to begin with. And I don't think near future is going to happen. Just because that's A, outrageous, B, fucking stupid, C, fight me, EA, I dare you.
Yeah. And I think
C, people can't do that.
Yeah, and the only issue I see with digital copies being better, the only thing I see is to cut down the waste, because that is a huge issue.
And that's a very big
and that's the only thing. That's my only argument for it. Yeah. I like the reliability. I can download it, but if you don't have good internet, all the issues we talked about.
Look at my internet.
Digital copies, digital copies are rough. They're still very rough around the edges, and I think with a hard copy, you've got something. I still have PlayStation 2 games down here that I can just pop in and play. Without these digital copies, I have to go to third parties who are illegally storing these digital copies of these games.
Yeah.
We would lose some of these. It's like saying, well, because this game you don't have a copy of William Shakespeare. Like it's like saying, you know, we don't keep William Shakespeare's, you know, Romeo and Juliet on digital copy. It's only you know, and so it just one day we run out of physical copies and it's gone. You know, we're losing these things that should be in like in it, these are pieces of art and they're being lost. And I think with losing hard copies, we lose art. We lose a labor of love.
We can talk about, thankfully, finally, video games are being described as art and recorded as art, which is great. But it's like I can't walk over to your house right now and give you my digital copy of Metal Gear Solid.
And the other thing to keep in mind is the Library of Congress can't really keep the digital copies of a game. They are cataloging video games. The Library of Congress is saving these things for the future of mankind to witness. They can't do that unless there's a physical copy.
Exactly. And like I can't virtually drive my car. You know what I mean? Like things that you buy, things that you should own. Like
No,
I'm not wearing a virtual version of this sick ass Godzilla tee. Like I'm not, you know, I don't have a virtual download of, you know, in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 4, and I don't have a virtual download of Color Before the Sun. I have them physically because I bought them, and that's the same thing with games. Like the fact that
nobody can take it away from you. It will exist as long as you keep it.
I'm just convinced they're trying to give us less for more, and that's really it.
Yeah.
Because I should be able to rock over to your house, give you a copy of fucking Overwatch. I should be able to rock over to your house, Vic, and give you a copy of my Halo Master Chief Collection, and you guys should be able to play it.
The idea is
I paid for it.
we're losing physical assets. It's like talking about houses versus apartments. In an apartment, you get no equity. There is nothing you get. You just pay a price and you get something in the moment.
As somebody in an apartment, I agree.
Yeah, I own my home. I get equity. I stash at least, you know, $400 or more a month, you know, in property value. I gain that because my house is being paid off. It's a physical asset. When you lose that, you know, Battletoads, for example, you know, is one of those games that people talk about for, you know, in time memoriam. If it was only a digital copy, at some point somebody would run out of it unless we illegally, like, the laws out there do not. If the laws were different, then digital games would be all right. You know, 10 years after 10 years, you lose the license to sell this game anymore. You can sell a copy of it. Anyone can sell a copy of it. You know, if we did like if it went into public records, you know, then we wouldn't have a problem with digital games. I wouldn't have a problem if after 10 years anyone could rip a copy of that game and give it out to people to play.
Right.
I think that is the issue at hand we're dealing with is that there is no way to preserve art. We're losing art. We're losing people's life's work.
Right.
Yeah, it's a huge cultural factor. That's a huge cultural factor.
I have a few thoughts here that I've been building up as you guys are going on huge rants here.
Go ahead.
Do it, baby. Let's go.
So, interesting mark here that we actually covered on previous episodes was the PS3 store was shutting down and the Vita store was shutting down, and people got so angry because they had digital media that they were no longer going to be able to access. And that kind of ties into our argument here is if you buy all these games digital and you get to a point where, hey, I want to go back to my PS3 and play it because I don't know about you, but I had a ton of retro consoles that I like to go back and play games on. Where in this instance, you get to a point where if it's all digital, you're never going to be able to go back onto it if the server is no longer supporting your content.
Gone.
Exactly, gone. And it's an issue where we have things are made to expire, things are made to break. You know, cars are made to break after 10 years or 100,000 miles. They're not to last past that. The same thing is what they're trying to do with consoles. They're trying to make it that you have to get the next console. You have to keep moving forward.
It's planned obsolete.
So,
yeah.
That was one
Planned
thought.
obsolescence.
That was one thought I had. Another one is the physical copies that I do have. Say, for instance, I'm gonna just go back to last gen, Xbox One. When I bought that game on physical version, guess what? I still had to come here and download the game, wait for that shit to download, and then update it, and then I could play it. Where if I go a generation before that, 360, I
You
come
grab
home,
the game.
I put the game in the damn system, and it
And it's ready to
up.
go.
Right.
The game came
What
out at midnight. You were
happened
home
to-
at midnight 10.
What happened to that? That means I no longer have a reason to buy my physical copy, other than it looks fucking pretty on my bookshelf, which is why
Yeah.
I used to be.
Hell yeah, it does.
Yeah. I hate that shit.
Everybody used to get on me was like, "Oh, you still buy the game? Like you go to the store? Like,
Yeah.
I love
Goddamn
buying
right,
I love the cover art. I love displaying my games.
Yeah.
But I got to the point where like, this is actually starting to become inconvenient. Like I literally all Series X games have been all digital. I have no games that are physical because I realized to a point where getting up to change games constantly because I was swapping out between games. I'm swapping out between more games now than I ever was before. Before I was stuck on like Call of Duty, or I played just this game or just this game. Like now I'm constantly switching. Oh, I'm on Apex. Oh, I'm on Call of Duty. Oh, I'm on Warzone. Now I'm switching between content rapidly. I'm playing more content. So now it's just like putting the physical copy in the game is no longer beneficial to me.
Well, that's definitely a pro because when you download it and you keep it there, you can go ahead and you can swap and you can go back and forth. That's definitely
so it allows me to use.
That's one
my
of the,
feature.
the nice silver linings.
And there's another one as well. The preloading has gotten better too.
Yes.
So don't
actually
get me wrong. Preloading.
Preloading not even just for
preloading's great.
digital copies either. If I want to buy the game physically, I can still preload the game. So then when I go buy it physically, I no longer have to put the game in to let it play.
So
but me buying that disc is just buying the key to access the game that I no longer because you never own the game.
There's no reason.
No matter what, you never own the game.
But imagine for some reason your internet goes down. What are you gonna do? If it's something that requires internet connection, something that was digital, something that goes, hey, you need an update, can't connect to the internet right now, we're gonna take you back to your home screen.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's also games that no matter what version of the game you buy, you still have to have internet for. So we're also entering that phase too. Even
we're talking the online games.
No, not even.
Like
there's
that.
a lot of single player games that still require online, but that's just like.
Ubisoft.
Which the best question of that is why.
Yeah.
It's DRM. That's exactly what it is. It's digital rights media gone wrong. Yep. And that's where I come back to the cataloging of posterity. Like back in the day, they had keys in the game and you had to put keys in to unlock the copy when you installed it. And you had a key with the game that was unique and it but at some point people got ways of cracking keys. Well, so I do agree there's an issue where you make a game and then you can't even afford to eat if everyone's starting to crack the game. So why pay for it if somebody else can give it to you for free?
But to another thought that I had in mind too is when you guys are talking about like sharing games with friends, like they have to implement some kind of feature like I can share a game with friends, but maybe limited. When I share it to my friend, they can only play it for 24 hours.
Well,
not real lifetime, but like in game.
That's against the law. It's against the law. That's the problem we're dealing with. So digital rights media also comes in tied with, and it's a copyright law. Copyright law, when you buy a movie, when you buy a DVD, you are actually not allowed to watch it with other people, technically. You are not allowed to give it to somebody else. That is a license for you and only you to watch it.
Yeah.
So Xbox was doing this for a while, the family sharing. Which, I mean, I could...
You can still do it.
Probably. I mean, I uninstalled it, but I could probably load up. What was the game?
Yeah, we used to game share.
It was like a Valkyrie or some
I would buy it
some
on my
shit.
system, but he would have access to it or something.
Yeah, and it gives them access because they think you're in the same house.
Right, because you could set their Xbox, sign into my account and set it as that's my home Xbox.
Yes.
But I signed in here. It's finagling.
Yeah, so they did that for a little bit. It's a nice roundabout way to get your access to the game,
which Microsoft knows about. Like they actually want you to do that because like
they don't care. They don't care. What are they losing? $15? Like they don't give a shit. I haven't paid for Xbox Live in probably about a year and a half, 2 years. Now there's a couple reasons I actually haven't paid for it for like 6 years, but there's a reason for that. because I used to work at Best Buy and Geek Squad, and every year you could do like a test for like the new Xbox shit coming out, and they would give you like a year pass. And I did that for a while, and then I stopped working there, and my buddy gave me his family shit, and as you can see, I'm watching God of High School with my buddies, you know,
Yeah.
Xbox Live, so they still have that capability.
Yeah.
But what they, I mean, he couldn't. I don't know. It's a weird place to be in, as
No, I
far as
agree.
digital versus physical. It's
And
a
I
very
think-
very weird place to be in because DRM is 100% a thing, 100% a problem.
I think until
and
we
how
see,
they've implemented it into physical
yeah,
things is also a problem because at this point they're just being greedy and they know it.
Mhm.
it's the same with the music industry. They're piggybacking off of the success of people like Metallica with copyright infringement. Until copyright laws change,
Yeah.
digital only games are going to be worse and worse. They're going to get worse and worse. Walt Disney. Technically, something is supposed to go into free use after so many years, but Disney keeps just extending it and extending it. As long as you own the own the copyright, you can just keep renewing
Oh
it.
yeah, just keep pushing it forward.
So these
Just
pieces
keep
of
going down
art
the
are
road.
going to be lost because of greed. You're not even selling a game, or you're not even letting people play it anymore because you think you might make $5 down the road.
So like, basically, imagine as far as digital copies. Here's how. I mean,
Yeah.
and after our conversation, like a better way of thinking about it. Like, think of like just throwing $60 on a road when you're driving down. Like, eventually, you can't go back and get it.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Mhm.
That's why physical media is very important to me because, like Roger said, is it first off, it's very nice to see games being categorized as pieces of art, which is a very big thing because people spend, like he said, their life work on it. But it's also your access to it. Like, eventually, oh, you paid $5,000 for this car. Cool, that was 5 years ago. You can't drive it anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
exactly
kinda
what it
how
is.
there was $1,000 a year. You can't drive it anymore. It's cool. It's still sitting. It's sitting right there, but we control access to your front door, and you can't drive it anymore. You can't. And that's why I think physical media is still very, very important. Now, once again, your question was very near future. So near future, no, I don't see that happening anytime soon, just because of ease of access. People can't get it in any other form. People can't download it, or it takes 3 days. Things like that. Now, in the farther out future, yes, I could see that, but they're gonna really, really need to sell us on that.
Yeah.
On the fact that, hey, I want $85 for a piece of media that you can never even physically touch.
And the thing is, like, Vudu, I think it was a movie streaming service. It went down, and people had hundreds of movies in their libraries they paid for, or what? Not Vudu, but one of them went down.
It was shit. Which one was it?
Let's say Voodoo's still up. I saw.
Yeah, not Vudu, but
Yeah, but it went down. They lost everything. And right there, if that's not your argument against digital only, then
yeah,
that's it, because people have paid $20
Ultraviolet.
20 like Ultraviolet. So
Well,
people paid like $20 for a movie. People paid this for a movie, and it was gone. It was straight up gone.
But that's the thing. Your library is gone.
Yeah.
It's shut down.
But
your movie locker was gone. So
say for example, you have your Xbox Game Pass, or you have your games that you bought over Xbox Live, and then say one day, God forbid, Xbox Live crashes and they have to like back up their servers and the shit's lost. You don't have your games anymore. You think they're gonna just go ahead and give you your games? I mean, maybe they're a multi-trillion-dollar company, but your games are effectively lost.
Yeah.
Along with your everything about them.
Right. Exactly. But I think it's about time to wrap things up here. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. It's been a long
We did.
episode.
We tend to
We always
do that.
have long episodes. It's always good. It's always good
We're
conversations that we have.
talkers.
Yeah, we sure are.
We're talkers.
But anything from you guys before we close out this episode real quick?
No,
Nothing?
no. I just thanks for coming to join us, guys. I appreciate it.
But yeah, definitely want to start by thanking all the live viewers that showed up today and anybody who does check us out later on YouTube. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely want to take the time to shout out to Scott Roby again for showing up to our being a guest again. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Of course. And be sure if you want to check out these episodes live, it's every Sunday at 7 p.m. Otherwise, they'll be up on YouTube either Monday or Tuesday right after. So be on the lookout for that. But Roby, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Twitch at Scobey1. That's SCOBEYWAN. You can find me on BattleNet at Scobey1. Number symbol 11780. Really, if you search for Scobey1, chances are you're gonna find me. Scott Roby on Facebook, Scobey1 with one N on IG, and that's really it.
Cool.
So.
What about you, Roger?
Oh, you can see my tag down below. You can find me pretty much anywhere with that.
Awesome. And you can find me at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin' _ Xbox X Never Space Chillin'. If you want to party up, play some games, hit me up. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns, want to come on the show, make sure you hit me up. My Twitch is twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin'. Haven't been streaming to that lately, as everyone can tell. I've been on this main channel here trying to grow our channel back up. But I definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.
Peace.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, sir.